Well, good morning, everybody. I'm going to give it that minute to let people log on. I know I got to do two stories today on residential school genocide, day 27 and 28, but that'll be for later tonight. I want to get into economics now as we see a whole new merger of rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. That is the Canadian way. It's always been the Canadian way. The worst thing you can do right now today is go plant your $200 out of your pockets to any of the federal leaders running for CPC right now. Worst thing you can do, especially if you profess to be grassroots in this party, in this narrative. You actually do more destruction with that $200 and going to meet a leader for the CPC who you believe is going to be your physical conservative champion. Folks, this is economics lesson 301. I went to school for economics. I majored in it. I graduated with a degree. I talk in plain speak. Economics is even further along than my law focuses in constitutionalism, real constitutionalism. It's not a background I have. I had to go to the best of the best to get there all over the world. I don't need to go to the best of the best for economics. I am an economics graduate. That is my skill set. That is the trade in life I pursued. I pursued it a very long time ago. A lot of people don't look at economics because it gets complicated, but it's not complicated. That is your mainstream media, the Canadian Crown system, that tells you it's really complicated. Interest rates, qualitative easing, tightening. Oh, these are really complicated. It's not complicated, folks. It's actually very simple, and I'm going to give you that class for free today in Economics 301. I used to hit this hard more than 4-5 years ago. I did 2 years of massive videos. You'll see a fridge behind me in the background with a lot of trade stickers on it, a lot of companies over the years back in Alberta. I've ripped through economics like nobody else for the average Joe, Jane, Albertan at least, but it's for all Canadians if you wish to explore. But I'm going to give a class today because I think a lot of people need a hard slap in the face today. I'm sorry, the Will Smith slap. Wake up, people! You do more destruction to yourself, your children, your grandchildren, just by going out to pay $200 to one of the CPC candidates running for leadership. It's already going to be Pierre Poilievre. It's already been rigged. If you've ever been a long-time conservative, like myself, who's actually learned the political party system here in Canada, you'll know that they're all one and the same. Every MLA candidate who ran with me in 2019 knows exactly what I say is true. It's not privy to the average Joe Jane Canadian. None of the parties are any different. You have a public board of umpteen amount of people, all party insiders, who actually have no say in the internal governance of the political party at all. Folks, I'm going to tell you about the last election we went through, if anyone bothered to sit down for the debates. The economy, the number one concern of Canadians, wasn't even on the agenda. 3% of Canadians were interested in the green policies and agenda. Not good for economy. Nobody was interested in that agenda. Less than 3% of Canadians wanted the green agenda brought forward. That was number one in policy and debate for the last election we went through. And if you look back, it was also the debate where Maxime Bernier and the rest of the parties all debated, all on green agenda. That was number one. Less than 3% of Canadians could give a shit less about the green agenda. We can see it in the votes. Look at the Green Party. They lost seats, folks. They didn't get any stronger. This is the problem with Canadians. You're being narrated what to believe. Now we're going to go through CNN this morning. CNN, they roll out a nice update for all of you on Vladimir Putin stole $1 trillion from 162 million Russians in 22 years. Folks, yeah, sure, he and his oligarchs filled their pockets. What was their rate compared to, absolutely, folks, Stephen Harper and Justin Trudeau? Now, I don't release bullshit. I don't lie. I tell the truth. And the truth is, in a 13-year period, Stephen Harper, his conservative oligarchs, Justin Trudeau, his liberal oligarchs, stole $1.5 trillion from all of you. 38 million Canadians. Now, that's less than 1/4 the amount of Russians at a much higher rate. When you multiply that, it means 3 times as much money was stolen by the Conservatives and Liberals in their real party boards, the legally registered party boards in Elections Canada, than absolutely the fake public boards, who are there getting money, but they don't have any real say. They don't write your policies. They don't do any of that. I'm sorry. I know who writes all the policies of the party. You chase that down. If anyone can raise their hand and say, oh, I've been in the inside, or I've been in the back rooms, I've been in geopolitics for 20 plus years, then you can come forward and say how much you know, because there isn't really a party I haven't ripped through in its entirety. In fact, in 2019, I built a party because Canadians, there's only 2 things that you have absolutely in Canada the right to do. One is the absolute right to vote. If you have your government issued IDs, you can vote in every election. That's one right you absolutely have. The second right you have is to build your own party and run your own platform. Did you know that in the last election to run for leadership of CPC, you needed $300,000? Do you know why you need that vast sum of money? Because only a legally first-class citizen or a very wealthy upper elite second-class citizen, meaning the ones with the lifeboats, just like the Titanic, because not every member of the second-class Canadian world gets a lifeboat when things go to hell. Interest rates are going to be going up. They figure they're going to hit now 6% by the end of the year. To trap all of you thinking about leaving Canada, me and other people, you're to be trapped. You have to pay for the criminal policies of the politicians. Politicians, many of you are saying, well, that's what I have to do. I have to go out there. I'm going to do this. I'm going to give my $200. Your $200 goes in the party's coffers. Doesn't go to your leader. No. It's not how it works. No. You're giving your money to the legal board. So much stays for the campaign, so much goes to the main party, which means your leader don't get in. Most of your money's gone bye-bye. That's the scam. They're all in on it. It's a pyramid scheme, just like the design of Canada. It's customary crown law. The real law, the law that's there. You don't understand it. You don't even really get to view it. Even though it's transparent, it's called the Constitutional Act Consolidated 1867-1982. Your Section B charter, that one little page in that vast document. And then, of course, the Bill of Rights for Quebec. That's all there is, folks. And that all lines out exactly what they're allowed to do to you each and every day. More on economics. Did you know that the future for Canadians is, well, as your places explode in value with interest rates that are so high that working Joe Janes can't afford a place, all you can do is rent a one bed in a shared room in Toronto right now for $420 a month, meaning you share the bathroom, you share a room space with a sheet divider, just like Hong Kong, because it's exactly the same system as Hong Kong. Coffin City, they called that one, created by the British Empire after the Opium Wars 1 and 2. The Chinese lost to the drug pushers. It was a drug war. The royal family cartel forced opium, heroin, and many other derivative products on the Chinese people a very long time ago. They warred over it. The royal family said, listen, we want to grow massive chemical warfare drug farms in India because we've got them under the slaves' master's boot. We force Indians in India to grow opium fields so we can harvest critical drugs that created the opium crisis today. And then they went to war as the drug pushers to force the Chinese government to allow the royal family from UK and the British government and the British East India Trading Company to sell heroin and all kinds of opium crisis drugs to the Chinese people, to get them addicted, to wipe them out, to ruin their productivity so that the British Empire could expand. No one ever talks about, where your poppy? Where your poppy? War. Celebrate wars of the past, including the Opium Wars. Where your poppy? Remembrance Day. USA wiped that out a long time ago. They're like, whoa, after World War II, they said, never again, no way. Down with the crown. USA got rid of it. They don't have that. They have 2 memorial celebration days. 0 poppies. 0 poppies. Because what kind of fucking nutcase would train his people to wear poppies after that kind of history? Only in Canada. Only in the Commonwealth. That's how foolish people are. And why I bring that up is because that's exactly the economic situation being imposed in Canada today. A lot of people say, hey, it doesn't affect me. I'm in an Atlantic province or I'm in a northern rural region. Folks, go measure your crown lands, provincial and federal. It will spill out to all of you. And when they drive interest rates so high and wages are left so low, well, we got a way of balancing inflation. We're going to call it class inflation. You guys ready for this? See, if you're in the first class, inflation doesn't affect you because the central bank is fully under your control. Your control. All the large corporations, because the small businesses fall flat on their face. COVID pandemic wiped out a whole pile of small businesses. Wealthy oligarchs took over. 50% wealth transfer. A heck of a lot more than Russia and Vladimir Putin and his oligarchs. A heck of a lot more. Canadians, by and large, you crushed your small businesses. You destroyed them. you transferred that wealth to the large foreign businesses. Largely. 50% of the wealth was transferred. All the bankruptcies went on the Canadian taxpayer. And now the Bank of Canada says, hey, we got to raise interest rates. We can't raise wages because wages go up, inflation goes up. So we're going to cut wages. They keep cutting wages and transferring the money to the rich. The first class, the destined second class, because remember, there's only enough lifeboats on Titanics for the wealthiest of the wealthy, those deemed loyal to the first class. Captain doesn't go down with the ship. Trudeau doesn't go down with the ship. If you don't believe me, look at the worth of the Trudeau Foundation. Look at it. Look at it. Vladimir Putin's money's been locked out. Same with all his oligarchs. They knew what was going to happen. He doesn't care about money. If he did, he would have been going, oh, my money's gone. He's following the will of the people. They're trying to say he's not popular. Well, not in the Western world, but at home in Russia, he's very popular. The Russian people called on their parliamentary representatives who hit Putin with, you do the Ukraine Eastern invasion, you free Donbass. The Don from 1922, Russian-speaking majority, you free those people, you let them go. You free them, or we're going to get rid of you. So he does it. That's the Constitution of Russia. Predictable, rule of law. You read it, you can actually map out everything that's going to happen in Ukraine. And if Putin doesn't do it, he's going to have his country break up. Do it, you've been told by your people, or you're gone. It's as simple as that. Now, out west here, Trudeau does for Trudeau and his friends, as does Harper before him, as Pierre Poilievre will going forward, as will Jagmeet Singh, the Green Party, Bloc, PPC. Nobody talks about the clear and present issues. The fact that we don't have an independent central bank. No, not anymore. We gave that to the Crown Privy. That was absolutely abolished during Stephen Harper's time. Gone. We also vested all of our sovereignty, not only that's always been with UK, but we transitioned into China. Majority of Canadians said don't do it. The secret board of the CPC under Stephen Harper, meaning Harper and his real registered board with Elections Canada, you know, the one that isn't made public to you, well, you get to see the financial officer in charge, you get to see the leader of that, that's it. But it's actually a 5-member board, and then they're attached to all of their special interests, just like the Liberals, NDP, PPC, and the rest. Canadians, you're on the hook for everything. Interest rates are going to go up. None of you can buy a house. You can't sell your house. That's what's coming this year. They say, don't worry, experts say, don't worry, wait it out a couple years and it'll all ease into place because COVID was temporary. Don't worry. We got you. You can't leave, slave. You can't leave. You're in a class structure. You see, third class doesn't go anywhere. You don't get to sell your house. They're going to make sure that none of your fellow third class can afford to buy the house. And even if they could afford it, the interest rates are too high. They don't make enough money because we've lowered wages or we haven't kept up with the inflationary gains. We've cut you out of the market. You're going to have to go to one of our wealthy oligarchs. You're going to have to rent a 1-bedroom, a cot in a room divided by sheets for $500 a month. Share a bathroom with 20, 30 strangers. Wait, everybody's got to put their... Don't worry, COVID's largely endemic now. Now that you went from at least before a condo, now you're in a one-bedroom cot with a sheet dividing a room. Hey, it's okay, Hong Kong. Look at our UK model in Hong Kong that China took away and China's abolishing. No more Coffin City for Chinese. There's entire cities in communist land empty. You don't have to live in Hong Kong anymore. We can transfer over here. And of course, the British Empire crying in their soup. Our wealthy oligarchs having 4 families in a one-bedroom apartment's normal. It's normal. Absolute massive rental increase. It's normal. Don't worry, Canadians, if you're over 50, everything's good for you, generally speaking. If you're already well on your way in your place. But your kids are fucked, and your grandkids, don't even look at it. Don't even look at it. Economy is not the big concern in Canada, even though it is for 80% of Canadians, it is. But it's not for CPC, Liberal, NDP, PPC, Bloc, Green, none of them. They have one narrative written by wealthy foreign oligarchs wishing to monopolize the world. It's called the globalist agenda. It's not conspiracy, it's called the truth. That's how greed works. That's how wealth creation works. You get the little people to pay for it. You're trying always to get them to give all their money to you for literally nothing. Con people out of money. It's not about valuing worth or trading goods like the age-old notion of what economy is supposed to be. Real GDP. You get services based on how much primary real GDP you have. Not the illusion of and the manufacturing of a service sector to bolster your GDP numbers so you can justify how much more money you print, borrow against the people, and then pretend that your economy's growing. It's all an illusion. That's called illusion. That's not real economics. That's called fake economics by extreme socialist oligarchs and extreme pure capitalists, because you can never run either system. They don't work. The game of Monopoly, while we all enjoyed it, isn't practical in the real world. It leads to absolutely socialism. They're the same thing. You can't have one person controlling all your means of production. You can't have one person controlling any sector, because what happens? Prices go up because there's no competition. There's nothing to ease that person off. Small businesses in Canada ease off prices. But when you eliminate them, how, everybody, how in the game of Monopoly? It's all fun when we're all sitting around the table playing Monopoly, but you notice how when it gets down to the last 2 players, it becomes redundant, boring. They got a big stack of cash. You're just rolling the dice, waiting to eat that last little shark, little fish. And it's no fun anymore. And the rest can't participate. All they are is indentured forever slaves. A miserable existence. That's not the American way. That's not how it's supposed to be. It's definitely not supposed to be what Canada promised to be, but Canada can't even get there. Because of wealthy monopolists. They're socialist. They're extreme capitalists. But at the end of the day, they're all the same. They've written laws, set a system, hire economists who aren't shared universally across the world. They're only shared in the Commonwealth because it's Commonwealth design. Look, this is the best. Find a slave class of people, and even worse, have a savage class of people underneath that, where you take actually all the primary resource from for nothing. And then you get a whole slave class to work for those resources who get nothing. They transfer their money up the line to people who didn't do the work, just have the government's power to make all the controls in place to fill their pockets. Of course, they have to fill their friends' pockets by do all these policies I need from you, and I'll have a job for life for you. Job for life for you. You didn't earn anything, you didn't deserve it, but you get it. See the problem here, folks? If I know what the market's going to be ahead of everybody else because I wrote the policies, and I have a paid off politician who doesn't have any loyalty to his or her people because they're not sworn to the people. It's not a crime to steal from the people, lie, rape, and abuse the people. Well, what's to stop me from destroying the people? Folks, Canada, 4 times as small as Russia, 3 times the thievery in half the amount of years, which means they stole 6 times as much from you as Vladimir Putin did for his people. And in the end, the stolen money is now being held in all those who steal from you the most. Well, it's true. The biggest thieves have also stolen all of Vladimir Putin and his oligarchs' money. He doesn't care. And people say, well, it's survival. He knows he can. It is survival. He does what the Russian people want because he's sworn to the Russian people, or he has 84 regions start to break up. That's not in Vladimir Putin's cards. He has no choice. Follow rule of law, predictable, verifiable, or you're gone. USA's like that too. Joe Biden's saying, fuck the people. I'm going to follow my own narrative. Hopefully I've got enough of the American media paid off. It certainly seems like there's more Canadian writers on the left side than there is Americans. Weird, eh? America's got 10 times the population, but apparently they can't produce enough journalists. So the USA media has to import Canadian writers because they're terrifically better writers, or they're terrifically more corrupt with the crown. They're used to it. They're bred into it. So that's what the left in USA needs. That's what CNN, Washington Post, New York Post, that's what they need. They need those Canadian writers. Yeah. And even wealthy barons running the National Post who were charged criminally and convicted in the USA did time being a monarchical oligarch criminal of the American people who had to do time for fraud against the American people, was let off the hook. Donald Trump did that. Bye. Have fun. Write good stories about me. I'm wiping you clean. Is Donald Trump good? I don't know. It's not looking like it. The more further you go in the corruption of the crown, you start to find all these acts of executive power of presidencies, and you go, wow. Certainly didn't highlight that to anybody. Never heard that from anybody. How is this guy even allowed to run a media center? Canadians, there's 2 crimes you can never do and run in politics, or you shouldn't. But I don't know. Those crimes are defrauding the people and child rape. Those are 2 things that you can kiss your career goodbye. That's something unforgivable by the general population. Journalism. Should you be allowed to run a massive Canadian journalist site when you've been convicted and done time for serious fraud, which means you lie for money. You lie to extort money from people. And that's a guy that's running a major media in Canada who got vindicated in the USA, wiped clean by presidential order in the list of the 300 and some who were to be released. Donald Trump released a foreign citizen, a baron, a man who has title to lands by birthright, not by any real economics, none whatsoever. He didn't work for it. He's got a royal title, So he takes that lands, misappropriates those lands from the people. And we should listen to him. We should listen to a convicted criminal who did 3 years time. Oh, he was being picked on. Oh, I'm sure the people he ripped off felt they were being picked on too, but hey, it's not like it went through the criminal courts and he was found guilty and went to jail for 3 years. Oh yeah, he did. Oh. So justice served, but then justice removed. Isn't that funny how the rest of us don't get that privilege? You do the crime, you do the time, or you're labeled stamped for the rest of your life. They'll take away everything of democracy from you. You're in an uphill battle for the rest of your life, working knuckle to the bone to make up for a crime that you'll have to pay for long after you've done the time. That's for the third class, but everybody else, hey, don't worry. If you're in the right circle of friends in the world, don't worry about it. There's a massive problem with the states. That's the executive power of presidency. But it could be even worse, because at least that course corrects for the people. Always does. Joe Biden will do a lot of damage, but he will be course corrected. Canada will never be course corrected, and the people make it that way. They don't want to abandon the monarchy. They never really truly believe in physical conservatism. A lot of people say they do. That is only in your life and in your working world. Whether you're a small business owner, a working Joe Jane stiff who worked hard their whole life. The reality is, all those good things that make Canadians what they are don't mean a hill of beans in the system anymore. You've lost real true economics. That's what's changed in Canada. It's not even highlighted. Monopoly, that's what you have now. You are told what to vote for. You're told the narrative in debates. Economy is the largest by a large margin, the biggest worry Canadians have. Not highlighted in the last two elections. Completely removed from the debates. Because they're staged, they're crafted by the media consortium that's attached to your politicians who are not sworn to you. They're sworn to a foreign country. They're empowered to destroy you. Canadians don't want to look at that truth. Go ahead, line up, vote for your best CPC foot going forward. I can tell you and save you all money, it's Pierre Poilievre. And whomever you go and meet with and give your $200 and have your plate of dinner, a large chunk of that will only go back to the party that's going to be ran by Pierre Poilievre. You're building a war chest, just like the Liberal war chest. Conservatives are only expanding on the Liberal policies as the Liberals only expanded on the Conservative policies. And we can go all the way through history and I can show you that they're virtually identical. Illusions of, oh, but it was great in Harper times. No, it wasn't. It was called a massive bailout. A bubble crisis hit and a massive bailout of banks. Banks who raped, pillaged, plundered, and robbed you, recessioned you, so then we give them all the money in the world for handing out bullshit loans where these executives get a percentage, a commission. They don't care. They don't care how much money they throw out to loans that shouldn't have been issued. They didn't care because they get a portion. That money doesn't go back. When the Canadian people get put on the hook for all the defaults and bankruptcies, just like COVID-19, do you think the bank CEOs and those go in their pocket and go, here's the commission back for the bad sale, sorry? No. They're multi-millionaires who donate to the Trudeau Foundation, the CPC party. The policies are a mixed bag for both parties. You'll find the special interests are always there. They get theirs every time. You, the people, don't exist. If you're not owning one of the chartered banks or you're not in that oligarchy, you're going to feed that oligarchy. You can say, well, I don't feed it as much with this party or that party. I can tell you all, you've been feeding them more and more every 4-year increments. I watch your debt explode. You double your debt load every 4 years. And I'm talking your debt load, the public debt load, what you're giving and having to pay later, what you're absolutely handing off to your children. You know, we save our whole lives and think, hey, you know what, when we die, the house will sell, the kids will get the profits. They're putting taxes on that, restrictions on that. Soon it'll all belong to the oligarchs too. Canadians think in that mentality. Your government, they think in that mentality for how much debt they're going to hand off, how much they can take today and hand off to the next generation. They work to weaken you. You, the people, they work to weaken you all the time. What policy can we bring forward to bamboozle them so that our first class, what we're inheriting them, they'll be that much stronger over the people. Can't beat them today, but in the long run, we'll have them so much misery in the future, the people will be so much more weakened, and we, the people, get more and more weakened. I'm not rushing out to start a party. We're locked into 3.5 years. People keep bothering me about that. I'm not happy with the founding membership I have. I'm not, by a large margin. People don't listen. They talk a lot. They say, no, it's this way, but what will that be for the strength and foundation of this party? You don't need a whole lot of people to make a federal party, but it's key people. People who can see the big picture, see everything as it really is. If you can't do that, if you're just another one of those flip, flop, well, this party isn't for you. Why would you want to attach to it? All you're going to do is bring your problematic thinking, meaning the Commonwealth thinking, into this party, which aims exclusively and only to destroy the crown, free all Canadians and First Peoples, flip the pyramid upside down. You, the people, on top, the savage Indian on top. For once, restrict your government. Down here, rules of governance, how to govern, and pure accountability. You can't get any of that in a constitutional monarchy. Not the way ours is designed, not constitutionally, not in the highest laws of the land. It's set up to destroy you, the people. Absolutely. There's no equality of the person here. You don't even have sovereignty. You give it away to a foreign empire. That's the truth. The crown needs to be destroyed. Until you see politicians coming forward saying we need to destroy the crown, we need to have that crown shadow made, published in a platform, people selected who've sworn an oath to the people to enter into real constitutional conventions by shutting the entirety of government down, meaning using their crown customary legal system against them in absolute real constitutionalism. No, none of them do that. No, we don't want to do that. We're wealthy. We're oligarchs. We're way more powerful than Vladimir Putin and his group. Don't trust them. We're a good dictator, a good set of oligarchs. We play Monopoly fair. The game of Monopoly can only end one way, folks. There's no such thing as good Monopoly. That's why countries like the United States made a lot of laws against monopolization. There are presidents through executive orders who wish to destroy that, wish to go back to the crown. Something the founding fathers couldn't see 250 years later. They couldn't imagine it. What kind of American people would allow that to come forward? They just couldn't see that far ahead in the future. The hate for the crown was so intense more than 250 years ago, no one could believe anyone would ever even have the notion to bring something like that forward. But here we are. And look at Canadians. Love it. Institutionalized. I love it. Where can I get my one cot in a one bedroom divided by sheets and pay $500 a month? Where can I do that, folks? Line me up. Rent my little cot out. Oh yeah, that's property. That's awesome. I love Coffin City, Hong Kong. Wow. Shake your head, folks. If you haven't seen the documentary, this is what UK did to the city you all call Hong Kong. Go look at Coffin City, the documentary. That is what the Canadian government values all of you. That's what they value, the human condition. They're not going to rest until you're there. Your wages haven't moved. Interest rates going to go up. Only the third class and savage Indian are to pay. And savage Indian, the term the government has used to legally describe you, not me. But for the First Peoples, what is your destiny here? Because I promise you, there's not going to be any money for you. These promises from the government are going to become hollow. And they don't care. They keep using massive immigration to drive down wages, up the interest rate when they've printed off enough money. It's a scam. It's a scam. It's a pyramid scheme. A legalized pyramid scheme. They will force you to pay. They don't care about potato famines like Ireland in two pasts. One queen got her head cut off. The other got away with it. Institutionalization. 1 million Irish died in the potato famine. Millions more went through the immigration process. Had to run away. Starving. And folks, we talk about Ukraine right now. But at that period, even in that period, that was no big deal. It was just filthy Irish people. Just like the filthy animal, the Indian, the savage Indian. Look at the poverty and starvation just north, in the northern overlap to the Arctic and all the way. Mass poverty and starvation, always been. No big deal, it's okay. Look at the homeless crisis around Canada. Look at the high rents versus low wages. People have to sacrifice, and they're sacrificing their ability to eat. And you'll have wealthy economists. Hey, I got a great job at the University of Toronto. Trust me, I'm not world renowned, but I'm Canada's oligarchy renowned. Wow, buddy. Wow. Good thing that the politicians decide who are your economists. Good thing none of the institutions for education, the secondary and higher learning institutions, are able to operate outside of that oligarchy. Too bad. You are what you learn, and you are what you are in a constitutional monarchy. A pyramid scheme where there's first, second, third class. Savage class as well, too. That is Canada. That's where Canada's going. If you want to know where you're going, go look at Hong Kong. The slaves aren't allowed to leave. If you don't get your stuff liquidated in the next couple months, you're never going to get out. And you're going to be on the hook for all of the politicians' bills. Pierre's got a shitload more bills than Trudeau coming up. It wouldn't matter because Trudeau's going to transition if he wins in 2023 anyway. He'll just shift gears. But he already knows the people are fed up with it. Their answer is vote in another tyrant who's just going to double down on Trudeau's policies. Look at it. Every 4 years, you watch your public debt skyrocket, doubling down. It's like a line like this. That's why Canada gets worse and worse every 4 years. Little notches during the 4 years. You get the initial hit. Oh, my heart, heavy. Then you watch it go up higher than it's ever been. It never changes. It never changes. It's never changed in all of Canadian history. It only gets harder. It only gets worse. Economically, this was economics 301. Third class for those who don't understand what's going on. I tried to plain speak it. I tried not to get into the math. People don't like mathy. I get that. I do. It's my strength. And this is your future. Bye now.